I'm Jeanette Roche. This is Forum Daily West. Here are some of the top stories we have lined up for you tonight. The government of Alberta starts a conversation on what a nuclear future might look like. Plus, the Prime Minister announces a Polish partnership on his 5-day trip to Europe. And we meet a researcher at Lethbridge Polytechnic whose childhood on the farm is shedding light in the lab. Thanks so much for joining us. The government of Alberta is starting a conversation about what a nuclear future could look like. Government officials have appointed a 5-member panel to engage with people across the province and are launching a public survey to help inform a nuclear energy roadmap for Alberta.
Our expert panelists are well respected in government, academia, industry, and Indigenous government. The panel will engage with different stakeholder groups in Alberta, analyze the results of an online survey, and compile a report based on its findings.
The panel includes Darren Billis, Senior VP of Western Canada for Council Public Affairs, Tim Boston, Principal at Boston Egg Strategies, Inc., Stephen Buffalo, President and CEO of the Indian Resource Council of Canada, Dr. Rudiger Churning, Fellow on Nuclear Law and Policy at the University of Calgary, and Professor Harry Vredenberg, Professor of Strategy and Global Management at the University of Calgary. Each one of these members brings unique expertise and experience, and I look forward to working with each one of them in the months ahead as we embark on an important task of exploring how nuclear energy might power a better, brighter future for our province.
Besides being able to help the province reach decarbonization goals, Premier Smith says nuclear energy will enhance the reliability of the electrical grid, which will impact affordability as well as create jobs and help power new energy-intensive industries and technologies. Prime Minister Mark Carney says Canada and Poland have agreed to work more closely on defense, aviation, cybersecurity, and clean energy. He's touting their new strategic partnership and wider cooperation with Europe as integral for meeting Canada's goal to quadruple the pace of defense spending by the end of the decade. Carney says Poland is crucial to Ukraine's safety.
As the Prime Minister alluded to a moment ago, Poland is absolutely essential to the defense of Ukraine. 90% of the people and the materiel transit through Poland. So we're together working side by side in Ukraine, together side by side in NATO, and if I may say, we learn much from the Prime Minister, from his government, including the importance of pulling our full weight in NATO. And it will take us a few years to reach Polish levels of commitment. It's possible. But it's possible. And we have made that commitment. We will quadruple our spending on defense between now and the end of the decade. And to do that right, to do that properly, we need the best partners in partnership with Poland, in aerospace, in other areas, and in partnership with Europe through that intensified defense partnership.
Carney's visit to Warsaw follows a surprise stop in Ukraine, where he didn't rule out sending Canadian troops to Ukraine as part of a possible security guarantee to secure a peace deal in the war with Russia. Defense Minister David McGuinty says the shape of Canada's role in sustaining an eventual peace in Ukraine is still up for discussion.
The Prime Minister was clear yesterday about the question of having Canadian forces on the ground. He said that he wouldn't rule it out, and he was speaking in the context of a whole series of possible responses to continue to provide the assistance that we're providing. That could play, for example, or take the role of more intelligence support, more logistical support, equipment, financial support. We were there yesterday to, for example, review the $2 billion of financial aid that we are making available that was announced at the G7 meeting in Kananaskis, or the $2.5 billion to help the government in its operations, its day-to-day operations. So when he was speaking in the context of a whole series of possibilities.
Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk has ruled out the possibility of his country's soldiers entering Ukraine after the war is over. After his visit to Poland, the Prime Minister moved on to Germany. Carney arrived today at Berlin-Brandenburg Airport as part of his current European mission. It's his 4th European trip since taking office in March, as he moves swiftly on to vow to align Canada closer with Europe, while the relationship with the United States sours under President Donald Trump. When we return, we'll have more of the top stories from the West with Forum Daily West. Wildfires continue to rage on Canada's east and west coasts. Nova Scotia's largest wildfire has damaged a number of homes in Annapolis Valley. The province says an exact number is unclear at this time. As the Long Lake wildfire continues to burn out of control, the blaze has grown to be more than 77 square kilometers. In BC, an air quality warning is in effect for parts of Metro Vancouver and the Fraser Valley because of smog and wildfire smoke from a blaze that has prompted evacuation alerts in the area. The air quality warnings are expected to last until at least tomorrow. Alberta's capital city is set to be under a sweltering heat wave for the rest of the week. Environment Canada says daytime highs are expected near 30 degrees Celsius with overnight lows of up to 16 degrees Celsius. Forecasters say the heat is set to end next weekend. The city of Edmonton has activated its extreme weather response, opening recreation centers and libraries for people to beat the heat and hand out water bottles to those in need. If you've crossed the border from the U.S. back into Canada recently and thought the border agents didn't seem very happy, it's because they're not. A recent survey suggests employees at the Canada Border Services Agency and the Canadian Security Intelligence Service are the least likely to recommend their office as a great place to work. Overall, 2 in 3 public servants said yes when asked if they would recommend their department or agency as a great place to work. But at the CBSA and CSIS, less than half of employees surveyed said their departments were a great place to work. More than 186,000 employees were polled around the end of last year. U.S. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order that bans the burning of American flags, claiming this action incites riots.
What happens when you burn a flag is the area goes crazy. If you have hundreds of people, they go crazy. You could do other things. You can burn this piece of paper. But when you burn the American flag, it incites riots at levels that we've never seen before. People go crazy. And what the penalty is going to be, if you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail, no early exits, no nothing. You get 1 year in jail. If you burn a flag, you get, and what it does is incite to riot. I hope they used that language, by the way, did they?
Yeah, incitement.
Incite to riot, and you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail.
Trump's advisors say the executive order would not run afoul of the First Amendment, which protects the freedom of speech, but they didn't expand on what that meant. For those walking through downtown Lethbridge, you'll notice the new revitalization project located right on the southwest corner of Galt Gardens Park. The aim of the art project is to make it look more colorful, safe, and welcoming. Crystal Scheidt, urban revitalization manager with the city, says this is a collaborative effort between the city and University of Lethbridge with designs that highlight Indigenous culture.
So some of the things that were included in the project were some improved hardscaping, some natural stone seating, accessibility improvements to access the pergola area. There's a lot of events that happen throughout the summer in the park, as well as we upgraded the lighting within the pergola and around this area. I think the open sight lines and the improved lighting really makes it feel welcoming for people. The stone seating we've seen utilized a lot from Foodie Fest. When the food trucks line up, people really feel that they can come in and use the space, and it's very inclusive and welcoming to everyone. And just being able to bring in that cultural component, I think makes it feel like a very inclusive and welcoming space.
I just wanted to express how grateful I am and happy to have this opportunity to share this art with the city. My hope is that the public won't just see this piece as public art, but come to appreciate the Blackfoot language and the Blackfoot artwork and my community and our territory.
Highlights the city's commitment to reconciliation, right? One of our calls to action is to have more Indigenous spaces and more Indigenous art and culture within the city. So this just is an easy win for everybody, of course.
Students first came up with the project in fall of 2020, and in spring of 2021, they focused on one idea, improving the area around the pergola with designs that highlight Indigenous culture. In 2024, the city's Parks Department started planning upgrades to the area. Construction started in summer of 2024 and finished in the spring of 2025. Canada's Auditor General will study the troubled attempt to modernize the federal government's pay system. The Phoenix pay system began processing public servants' pay in 2016, and problems began to show up almost immediately. It resulted in widespread errors on employees' paychecks and delays in payments. Ottawa announced in June it had awarded a 10-year contract to Dayforce for almost $351 million to replace Phoenix. A team of researchers at the Lethbridge Polytechnic have recently been finding new ways to conserve energy for greenhouse operations by using light optimization. The project compares industrial LEDs, horticultural LEDs, and high-pressure sodium lights on cucumbers, tomatoes, and bell peppers to determine the best climate conditions for the plants in an energy and cost-efficient setting. Dr. Saeed Hashemi says they have discovered some interesting results after preliminary results were shown coming from the Polytechnic's 10,000 square foot research greenhouse.
This trial was a 3-year trial, and after 1 year, our results showed that the best type of light is industrial LEDs, which is producing as much as traditional HPS lights, but with much less energy consumption, around 40% less energy consumption, which is causing a lot of economical and financial benefits for greenhouse growers in a commercial scale. We do have electrophysiology sensors to understand on how plants are feeling under different type of lights. So that stress will have direct effect on crop quality. So by adjusting and optimizing the climate condition in a way that plants can perform better and the fruit quality goes up, we will achieve our goals.
Greenhouses are reportedly already adopting results from the peer-reviewed trials on cucumbers. The trials are expected to finish late 2026. After the municipal district of Pincher Creek declared an agriculture state of disaster early this summer, the reeve for the district says the situation has turned around quite a bit for the good as harvest season arrives. The state of disaster was declared amid low snowpack and runoff to fill reservoirs and dugouts. But there has been enough precipitation this year to keep crops healthy.
Crops are relatively good. The harvest has started in and around the area. Some of the fields, though, have a lot of regrowth coming back, that the crop is finally germinated where it never did in the spring because of lack of moisture. So, yeah, no, the crops look good, and the second cut hay is going to be okay. We have had actually quite a bit of rain. Like, I do believe it varies from what I hear from 9 to 13 inches of rain since we declared, and that does help. It helps crops, of course. But it's not going to fill dugouts. I mean, dugouts are required for spring runoff with the snow in our creeks and that. So water's come up a little bit. It has eased the water situation, but I wouldn't say we're out of the woods yet with water. You know, when we get a good runoff, the dams fill and we can pump out of them at least and provide water. But this spring, there was none of that.
Area producers were left hauling water to their livestock as an effect from the local state of disaster. Out east, however, Cypress County also declared an agriculture state of disaster last month because of persisting dry conditions for crops. Cypress County is more susceptible to drier conditions than other regions in the province. Lethbridge police are asking for the public's help in locating a 25-year-old woman who is wanted on outstanding warrants. Kira Lind Eva Eliza Davarin is wanted on warrants for failing to comply with a release order stemming from drug trafficking charges. Anyone information on Davarin's whereabouts is asked to call police at 403-328-4444 or call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Drivers in one Lethbridge neighborhood are going to have to adapt to some traffic changes as of this Wednesday. To improve the safety of students, families, and residents, the city is making changes in the Fleetwood neighborhood. So 11th Street South between 9th and 10th Avenue will change to one-way traffic going southbound, and 12th Street South between 9th and 10th will change to one-way traffic going northbound. The city's transportation engineering manager says it's all about safety.
Vision Zero is that we want to achieve a vision of zero serious injuries and fatalities in city of Lethbridge by 2040. We are also creating school travel plans as part of a major project funded by federal government. So all these initiatives are part of this overall big Vision Zero. We found that the circulation in the school wasn't great and people were complaining about traffic congestion, etc. We'll have message boards, but we haven't put them yet, but we will have electronic message boards saying, these streets have changed now. And we already put some A-frames message boards, you might notice them. And we have also, communicated with the parents of school through their school newsletter and individual letters with all the residents who are here.
That is your Forum Daily West report. I'm Jeanette Roche. Thanks so much for watching.